Good evening, everybody, or whatever time you happen to be listening. Welcome back to 22 Panels. My guest tonight for the 200th edition
Oh
of
shit.
With Great Power, which is what we name our interview episodes, is Chad from Amsterdam himself, Chad Bilyeu. How's it going?
Life is good. Hectic.
Yeah.
Uh Too much traveling and comic stuff. I'll never do such a long tour again, but it has been fun.
I
And it's been good.
I finished. I read through like your entire catalog today. I read all of Chad from Amsterdam and I read all of the re-up. And when I hit issue 6 of the re-up, I knew that you were in town for CXC and to see family, but I didn't realize that you'd gone on the mini tour. You're out at Autoptic, which I didn't make it up to because I was sick that weekend. Did you also go
Mhm.
to insert name?
I did, yes, I did go to
Good.
insert name, and actually,
Because
that was a great weekend in Minneapolis. I got to say,
right. No,
you
I
know.
really I have family that lives up there, so we'd arranged to stay with them, that sort of thing. And I
Hmm.
got sick on Friday. And
Yeah,
I just needed the weekend to recover instead of blitz from Chicago to Minneapolis and back between Friday and Sunday night.
yeah, most definitely. I mean,
But
Minneapolis, it was my first time. It's
okay.
a nice city. I had a good time. I was pleasantly surprised with the uh, the curiosity in comics up there. Like
Yeah,
really,
they've got a
you know,
nice little scene.
they do, and
Hmm.
people were really curious about what I was doing. I was actually That was my first special guest appearance, so
Okay.
that was cool. Yeah, it was good. Like really, it was honestly like a
Yeah.
great time. Yeah, highly
Well,
recommend.
and my buddy Ryan is a big fan of yours, which I didn't
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
realize until I was reading your comics. I'm like, oh, no, Ryan.
And
Um,
I am a big fan of his, and we finally got to
oh,
meet in
he's
person.
fantastic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
he's
a great guy,
fantastic.
and
I
I mean, just really nice when someone as well read as him
yeah.
really likes what I'm doing, and he slaps me on the
I
top
mean,
10 list and whatnot. So
you
I was happy.
yeah, you do fantastic work.
Appreciate you.
I now need to go look to see if he put you on the top 10 list when he was on my show or he's on my show generally every year for end of year best of the year list. So I'm going to feel really, really embarrassed if he's listed you for the last couple of years and I didn't know when I was talking to you.
It's all good. Now it takes some time, but
Well,
we get
and I
there.
read so many comics and so many different like arenas of comics that keeping track
Hmm.
of I mean, I'll be the first one to say that it's one of the reasons that I was really happy to hook up with Ryan and Emily is one of my um weak spots is really kind of the indie comic scene, and I've been trying
Okay.
to strengthen my knowledge of that. And Ryan has like encyclopedic knowledge of the history of indie comics, and Emily is up on everything recent and all of Instagram. Um,
Right, right.
so between the
Yeah.
two of them, it's like, oh wow, there's this whole other world. Now I just need 5 more hours in the day.
Right, exactly. Well, it's nice. I mean, I like my indie comics. I don't know. My reading list that I subscribe to has shrunk.
Yeah,
I've kind of become more of a trade paperback guy for sure, or a
I
graphic
definitely do a lot
novel.
of that. Yep.
But if there's something, there's certain books that I'm like, oh yeah, I got to collect this. So, I
Yeah.
mean, and I run the gamut. Like I've really been digging the new Transformers series.
Have
Uh,
you the Daniel Warren Johnson stuff?
yeah, I at least read the first trade, and that was
I
excellent.
haven't yet, just because it's like Daniel Warren Johnson, Transformers.
I think he's doing a
But well,
superlative
no,
job.
no.
Like
Kelly
it's
Thompson told
great.
me I had to read it too.
Yeah,
And she's the
it's
one that
great.
got me to read a GI Joe book because she wrote it, and like I have to read Kelly Thompson things. So,
There you go. Yeah, the Transformers is dope. But then I mean,
That's
but
what I'm
I read a
hearing.
lot of old stuff too. Like I'm really I'm more a comic guy of 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s is more my preferred time.
Superhero or undergrounds or both or
Both. Definitely
okay.
both. I mean, certain series I love. I love a good long form superhero comic like a Grendel or
Okay.
Starman. Those are things.
Starman was I haven't I've read like the first volume of Grendel and need to do more. But Starman I've
Grendel,
plowed through a couple times.
yeah, Starman's excellent. Grendel goes places where you wouldn't expect it to, and that
Oh
was
yeah.
just one that really changed my. I think it's actually a little underrated in the
No,
pantheon of the great '80s comics.
it came out well first it started when I was too young to be reading Grendel because
Right.
I'm 5 years younger than you. I know
Okay.
that
Okay.
now because you happen to put your birth date in one of the comics.
That's true. I did. I did.
So I was a little too young to be reading it when it started coming out, and then in the years that I might have jumped to it, I actually drifted away from comics.
Okay.
Because I was one of the people turned off by a lot of the image revolution because I felt like, oh wow, beautiful art and the stories are crap.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And but the one thing I
Um,
loved of the image revolution was the independence.
oh
And
no, that I
yeah,
love, but I was
right.
14 at the time. I barely knew what that meant.
True, true, true. Right, right, right.
That was stuff that I discovered when I came back to comics years later. Oh, the image revolution was incredibly important for comics in general. I just wasn't into Spawn or
Yeah,
Youngblood
no,
or
I hear you. I didn't like Spawn. I didn't. I mean, I hate saying what I didn't like because I'm not trying to start comic beef,
well,
but
and
like,
I'm not saying they're bad. They just weren't for me.
no, they weren't for
Uh,
me. But I guess of all those books, I thought maybe the best written was probably Shadowhawk. And
which I don't
then
even think I read.
that was Jim Valentino. And
Okay.
then he started doing some cool stuff. So he had like Keith Giffen doing Trencher, which I just thought that art
Uh,
was fantastic because I loved
we
Giffen run on Legion.
almost had Giffen on the show
Ah, bless, man. Rest in
because
peace.
we have an annual, though we haven't done it this year. Um, Legion of Superheroes roundtable because my
Yeah,
best
that
friend is one of the biggest Legion of Superheroes fans you'll ever find.
okay, okay.
And we had Giffen lined up to join us with Paul Levitz and with Tom Barenboim,
Oh wow.
Barenbaum, and he went into the hospital with COVID literally the morning we were supposed to record. We got an email from his son-in-law apologizing that he wasn't going to make it, promising that he'd make him
Ah, okay.
reschedule. Um, but he never got. It was if he didn't actually die of COVID at that time, but I don't think he ever got truly healthy again after that
Okay.
because it was like a
That is
couple
terrible.
months. Yeah.
And
So
I
so
mean,
so that's like I can't hear his name without going, that was the big because I remember how ridiculously excited my friend Johnny was that he was going to have Giffen, Levins, and Barenbaum all at the same time.
I'm a big fan. I was a big fan, of course, too, of Justice League. I
Yeah,
thought that was great. Like actual, it was sitcomish. I think they had a nice balance. It was probably about like 40% humor, 60%,
right,
you know, crises. But
right.
it was great.
I
And
think I
that
would have
to me,
flipped it if I'd had my way. With
mhm,
superhero comics, I like them to be about 60% humor and 40% crisis, but I know I'm not your
right.
standard audience.
I'm with you. I mean, I love the funny stuff, but
I do too.
it was just nice. I mean, I was very fortunate to have grown up in a good time where
Oh yeah, you
a
grew up in
lot of
I mean
cool
you
things were going on. Like I
I,
read Watchmen as a kid, you know what I
right.
mean? Um,
No, my early comic, and this is the other reason why um I was probably more turned off by some of the mid 90s, detailed art, but drop in storytelling, gritty, but not no depth.
yeah, not
Is
substantive
is
at
that
all.
I grew up on a couple of boxes of comics at my grandmother's house that were from my dad and my uncle. So they were like Marvel from like 69, 70 through the early 80s, So I grew up
Right,
reading some great Spider-Man runs and some great Iron Man runs and some great Daredevil runs. So, I
right.
knew a
Yes,
bad
sir.
comic when I saw it.
Right, right. Very. I mean, to see the Miller runs on
Right.
Daredevil,
The
you
Miller run
know.
was the first thing, and this was before the internet. So like I had to go, I didn't even know where it started and where it ended. So I actually
Mhm,
wound up collecting every issue from what? I think I started with where he was writing and drawing. So from like 168 through 219, because his first run ended with 191, but I had these issues in the 200s that were Miller because I had parts of Born Again. So
mhm.
I didn't know whether, because all the books then, you'd have a fill in here, a fill in there. So it's like, okay, but how long was Miller gone? So I had to collect them all because there was no internet to go to and go, oh, he wasn't there. And I'm so glad I did because I think you and I talked about this. The Denny
Yeah,
O'Neil Mazzucchelli in between there is some of my favorite
yeah. I got to
Daredevil.
check those out. I mean, '80s Miller was great. I'm not
It
so.
was.
I don't really like contemporary Miller too much, but Electra
Yeah, it's been
Assassin
a
is
while.
probably my favorite of
Oh,
his
well,
works. Yeah, he's
Sienkiewicz
fantastic.
is
It's actually
ridiculous.
actually fine art in comics, which is
Yeah,
great. And I
yeah.
like Batman Year One a lot. I'm not.
I
I
like
don't really
Batman Year
think
One.
Dark Knight holds up too well, but that's just me.
Batman Year One is definitely my preferred of the two.
Hmm.
Though that's another Mazzucchelli work, as
Right.
is Born
Exactly.
Again. So
Exactly.
so my two favorite Miller comics are Mazzucchelli. Though I was a fan of Sin City and the
I like
original
Sin City.
300. The
Yeah.
original
Yeah. I
300 I
agree
liked a
with you.
lot. Xerxes didn't the sequel was
Nah, that didn't do
flat.
it for me. It's
Right.
funny though, and you were talking about these '90s comics because again, a lot of good stuff. Other, sure you had the Image, but you also had Vertigo, which was
Yeah,
really
which unfortunately
that
I
was
didn't discover
what
discover
I would
until later.
swear by in the
Oh yeah.
'90s.
Vertigo. Did you see that?
In high school, we
D
were reading Doom Patrol was
Yeah.
lovely.
Yeah. Did you see DC's bringing back the imprint?
I saw that. I'm interested what they'll do
I'm
with it.
crossing my fingers.
We'll
Um,
see. I mean,
yeah.
yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I think I don't know what's going on with the big two. I think they're extremely safe nowadays,
Yeah.
and I don't
So,
know. It's
I
just
mean, yes and no. I mean, I reading Tom King's Wonder Woman, y y it proves that none of the people that got upset that like Superman had a gay son that they didn't realize was Superman's son, they thought was Superman, don't read Wonder Woman because it's like filled with toxic masculinity being beaten down.
yeah. I honestly, it's probably something I'm not gonna read because I never liked Wonder Woman. I don't like
uh,
Superman whatsoever. But that's just me. You know what I'm
I,
saying?
I was never a huge Wonder Woman fan either. I would recommend this run. The backup
Okay.
stories are
Okay.
hilarious too.
Well, I did like. I mean, I thought his run on the Human Target was pretty nice. I
Hmm.
believe he he completely did not get the character of Guy Gardner, and that was done for the conceit of the day rather than actually writing a good Guy Gardner. But that's just me. But nonetheless, Greg Smallwood's art was phenomenal in that. So
Right.
I've liked a lot of the stuff that Black Label's been doing. Raphael
Yeah.
Grandpa's rendition of Batman, and I try to just try new things, but actually, I
Right.
have a list if you're interested in what I'm actually reading at the moment.
Oh, well, let's hear it.
Okay.
And
I
then I'm
read
going to have you
any
talk about your comics because that's what you're really
oh
here for. But
yeah,
let's hear
that's
the
true.
list first.
Okay, cool. I just like to show a little love so they know that like, hey, I do actually look
Absolutely.
at other people's comics. So
Right. Right.
anything connected to, of course, Brew Baker and Phillips.
Oh, God.
Yeah, so
Though I hope that includes anything Jacob Phillips as well, because Jacob is
oh yeah, I was
doing
actually gonna say that
okay.
Texas Blood is on my list.
Thank you, my buddy
Excellent.
Chris.
Oh,
And
excellent
this is
series. I really love what they're doing.
S- Chris Condon is one of my dearest friends in comics at this point.
Okay.
He does fantastic work with with Jacob. They're yeah, they've got something in the works that I can't talk about. But then what was announced yesterday is Condon gets to do Ultimate Wolverine. So he gets
Okay.
to take his and he's doing Green Arrow already. So he's going to be doing two of the cooler characters in each universe at the same time.
Nice. That's cool. Yeah, that's something I would love to do. I can't discuss what characters I would want to do, but
Right.
I'd love people like what you do. In Europe, they're sometimes a little hubristic about it. Like, would you actually
Right.
work for Marvel or DC? I'm like, yeah, most def. Like,
I
that
grew
would
up on
be
them.
yeah. I mean, plus, I mean, there's some great characters, and it would be nice to give
Right.
your own rendition. So that's cool.
Right.
That's great to hear that Condon's writing those. I'll check it out. So
Yeah.
that Texas Blood. I like the
Oh, so good.
Department of Truth a lot.
Yep. Yep.
It, there's a little kind of indie comic called The Fang, which
The
it's
Fang.
only
Is
I think there's only
is
two
that
issues. It's
I
like the
think
Muppet
or no,
looking
I'm thinking about the tooth. The
no, not the
Fang.
tooth. This is like it's like a Muppet looking vampire, and it's a hilarious thing. It's super cool though. So I did dig
Oh,
Reckless.
this
That
does
just
look
ended.
cool.
Yeah, it's cool. The Fang is a good comic.
Is it
I,
oh, it's through
it's through
Fantagraphics.
Fantagraphics. It's a good one.
Okay.
I read Reckless was really good. I felt that.
Oh
Um,
yeah. I mean that's Brubaker Phillips.
yeah,
They're
they're
always at
killing
the
stuff.
top of their
And
game.
then Ultra Mega. Hey, did
You
you
know,
read that?
I the only thing I've read so far in the Ultraverse is oh no, wait, Ultra Mega is separate from the Ultraverse, isn't it? And I just
Yes,
get
it
it
is.
confused. I've
It's
heard
like
of
its
it. I
own
haven't
thing.
read it yet. Yeah.
It's its own thing, kind of based off of like the kaiji, the big monsters and
Right.
whatnot.
Right.
Yo, it's incredible. Like it's impressive, man.
I
Really,
remember when
really
that was coming
impressive.
out. Or is it still coming out? Ultra Mega, James Heron,
I think it's about to start back up. There was
James Heron and Dave Stewart.
yeah, that's correct. And there was a an arc,
Yeah,
and I think
no,
they're coming back out soon.
issue 6 came out last week.
And it's awesome. So like that, and
Okay.
then in that same vein, I would say, the new Transformers is really good.
Okay.
I'm a
So if
fan
you're
of.
loving this kaiju book, I have to ask, did you read Xander Cannon's Kaiju Max?
No, I haven't, but
Oh
I'll
my
write that down.
God. Oh my
I'll
God.
check
It's
that out.
done. So you
Okay.
can get it all in collections, but it's kind
All
of
right.
like remember the HBO prison series Oz?
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
It's like one part Oz, one part Godzilla, and like with a sense of humor. So it's also almost like one part The Office.
That sounds what's up. Okay,
You know, it's
that sounds great.
it's a super max prison for kaiju.
That's a
You're
great
just
idea.
getting like stories in.
So let's see, real quick. My main James Corcoran does an indie comic. I think he's based out of, I believe he's Scottish, pretty sure. Excuse me, James, if that's not right, because I've had him in an anthology exhibit I did. But he has a book called Stramash, which is great as well. And just real quick, like Everything Sucks on Silver
Yeah, yeah.
Sprocket.
He is a Scot living in London, so you got
There
it
we
right.
go. Okay, cool. I like Philadelphia, and I like What's the
Oh,
Furthest Place from
Philadelphia's
Here.
fantastic.
Yeah,
I
that's one
love
of the
What's the
best
Furthest
books
Place
out.
from here.
So that's
Um,
kind of some of the stuff I read like
yeah.
regularly.
Did you
You know,
did you read Matt and Tyler's other book, Four Kids Walk into a Bank?
yes, that's how
Oh
I
my
knew of.
God.
Yeah, that's a great book.
That is
Yes,
like some of the best comic storytelling I have ever seen.
I would agree.
It's
So,
just like ridiculous.
and that's just, I guess I mentioned these things, excuse me, just to let people know what I'm into. But as you can see, I'm really into well written comics.
Yeah,
Like,
well, but also I go a step further than well written because everything that you wrote or everything that you just listed that I know well, it's not just the writing that's great, the visual storytelling is great. And I say
yeah, I
that
would
rather than
agree.
just art because
Yeah,
it's not a particular art style. There's a lot of different art styles in what you just listed across, but what all of them have in common is they tell the story really well. And that was actually that segues perfectly into your work because one of the things I was going to ask you is, as I mean, you mentioned in your work that you do have some art background. You drew all your life, that sort of thing, and you certainly have a great background with comics. How detailed do you write your scripts? Because either you're giving some pretty serious art direction or you're finding just absolutely masterful artists all over the place because um the visual storytelling even across different writers in your books is really impressive. um
okay. Uh,
Even I mean I'll even say, when I started the re-up for about 5 pages I was sitting there going, okay, I know that this is like a children's book illustrator. Did he wind up going way too wordy because of that? And then you like found your stride and had the right balance of words and pictures. And,
right.
and like, I mean, with the re-up, each issue gets better from a
Well,
visual standpoint.
I would
Um,
agree. And shout out to my collaborator on that, my homegirl Juliette DeVitt, who is indeed, as you said, a children's book illustrator over
yeah, has she done
in
comics before?
Amsterdam. She studied comics at the Refield
Okay,
Academy, but
right.
so she knew, but she's done some comics, but the bulk of her production is in
Has
children's
been okay.
literature. So I was like, well, we worked together on a comic in Chad in Amsterdam. A
Yeah, that
short
one was
story in a
actually really, really. I mean, that was one of the highlights of Chad in Amsterdam. And
cool.
again, Chad in Amsterdam was solid all the way through, but she was
Cool.
which one? She was the money one, wasn't she?
Yeah, where them dollars at with the strippers and
Yeah.
whatnot.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess the thing you asked me, like, how detailed are my scripts, and I would say they're pretty detailed, not to
Okay.
the degree of Alan Moore, but definitely more so than Chad's driving down the street.
Okay.
Panel one. It's definitely I do, because it's a period piece. I'm kind of a stickler for accuracy and representation of a particular time and place. This
Right.
being DC between the years of 2003 2008. So I give a good amount. I think my scripts are pretty detailed. I guess it would I liken them more to like a movie script with an accompanying storyboard, because I kind of have a vision, and what I tell the artist so as not to be so commandeering is that if you think of a better way that we can do this that serves the story better,
Right.
let's discuss it, and then we'll come to uh, a conclusion. So
Right.
I definitely put forth a well thought out concept and idea, usually, I would say. Um, and then we go from there. So yeah, I'm actually writing. It's not like I'm just, because when you write comics, no one thinks you do anything. So
No, I've talked to I mean, uh, you're the 200th conversation I've had about this sort
yeah,
of
true.
thing.
You don't think that, but a lot of people do, and even a
No,
lot of people
I
who
do.
draw.
I understand. But that's one of the reasons why we explore that. Because the thing is, like, some people think that a comic script can just be like a movie script, and it's like yes or no. If you're like, I wouldn't
Right.
be surprised if like Brubaker can write essentially a movie script for Phillips at this point
Hmm.
because they're so on the same page.
Right. Right. They're
But like,
symbiotic for
I mean,
sure.
we talked about him a minute ago when we talk to Tom King, he'll talk about how he writes different for each one of his artists, because he
Yeah.
knows what he
Yeah.
needs to tell them and what he doesn't need to tell them.
When
He
you
said the
have the
superpower is that he can
advantage.
see it in their artwork as he's writing it, and that makes it a little
Right.
bit easier for him to
Right.
give the um but then like occasionally we'll talk to a writer that hasn't really done comics before, and like they go one of two ways. They either go way overboard trying to like describe in detail what each panel should look like,
Hmm.
or they hand in the movie script and it's like, okay, these are the words, but what do I do?
You gotta. I feel you have to provide the artist with enough so that they see the vision, and
Right.
that they're and not, again, it's not so much to be commandeering in my opinion, but it's more to have a motif, a
Yeah.
theme, a feel, an aura in your comic, so that it it it's consistent, you know.
Yeah.
And I think from that you really get the style. So
Right.
that's why I do it. And again, like I said, if any artist, and it's easier with Juliet because we've been working together on this for quite some time.
Right.
So, she's getting exactly what I'm saying now. She feels the characters. She's drawn my avatar a lot. So it just kind of moves from there. And but I definitely supply a lot of reference photos because, like I said, we're dealing with DC between 2003 and 8. It needs to be accurate. The music needs to be from the time, and I actually use music in that book a good amount.
Yes, you do.
And yeah, so I mean, I write a script. If I have one, there's a one panel comic in the chat in Amsterdam with a guy who approaches the window of a hooker, prostitute,
Right.
lady of the evening, whatever you'd like to say. And it's just a one panel thing. It's something I was
A
walking by.
sex worker.
A sex worker, right? Yeah, sorry, I'm not the most PC dude on the planet,
That's
but
okay. I'm just
like, and
You
it,
know,
it, it
I want to make a quick comment because
hmm.
you're not the most PC dude on the planet, but I don't think anybody would have heard you and taken it wrong. I was able to joke with you and say a sex worker because I know that you weren't holding them in low esteem. You
Nah,
weren't
man. I'm not
saying
here
it
to
as a
judge.
right. Um, so like the way things get said matters a lot.
Yes, that's true. You got to be able to sense that
I
and
mean,
feel it.
as an example, in one of your early issues, you had the trailer park boy that had to use the N word over and over again. Now, I don't know that there's any time that a white boy can get away with using the N word, but there are times that a white boy could use the N word and get a stern talking to rather than an ass kicking.
Yeah, for sure. But then also, like, and that's an interesting scene because a lot of people are like, "Why didn't y'all, like, jump this dude?" And you're like, That's not what we're there for. We're there to
Right.
get our drugs and leave and go make money.
Right.
So money's on our mind. And that's why there's
Right.
one guy who's like, I believe the line, he's like, ain't nobody about to trip over no fucking wigger, you know?
Right.
Like it's
Right.
it's really not that, and that's the funny thing. Like you hear a word like that, this epithet of some sort. What are you supposed to do? You're supposed to beat somebody down into oblivion? Nah, man. I just don't hang out with that person. And the only reason we're in that same room is because we were all waiting for our weed, our pounds of
Right.
weed. So,
Right.
it's like no one's concerned. But the Salvadorian guy was kind of like, hey, what are you doing, man? And I get that too. It's just, I don't care, man. You want to drop the N bomb around me, I'm just gonna leave. I got other
Yeah.
places to go.
Yeah.
And I'm old,
Yeah.
man. I'm not trying to get in any more trouble in my
And I
life.
wasn't trying to suggest that you were. I was just
No, 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 not at all.
trying to highlight that there's a difference between the person who was careless and not thoughtful and the
Yes,
person who's a dick.
right, for sure. And you're like, I mean, I don't know. Again, and then also, I mean, it's just
And I
words.
used an extreme example because it came from your work.
Yes, it did. And I mean, but
I
also
could
it's
have
just
used
like,
all sorts of other much easier to talk about examples of PC versus not PC and intent.
but that's
But I
great because, like
read
I
your
said, it's
book
in the
earlier
work.
today.
Yeah, it's in the work. And
Right.
yeah, and I don't really, it's not so much, I mean, I'm not out to offend, but I'm also not out to attenuate my art because of people's certain proclivities or
Well, and
sensitivities.
I again, I think that's something that generally shows by the way things are handled.
Ah,
You
okay.
know, I think art
Yeah.
that's intended to offend, you can tell that it's intended to offend. And you know
Yes,
what?
sir.
Sometimes that is legitimate art. It's not art that I
Yeah.
care for, but I'm going to be more like you. And it's like, I'm not going to condemn it. I'm not going to say it shouldn't exist. I'm not going to the exhibit.
Right, exactly. It has a right to exist,
Right.
but and that's the thing. I mean, I guess that's our whole concept of
I
freedom of
mean, that's
speech.
Well, actually, that's the thing that I've been laughing about the most in the last year or two when the right likes to shout from their megaphones about how they've been canceled. I'm sitting there going, "You're
Yeah.
on Fox News, but you've been canceled.
Yeah,
I
and
can't
and
go on
and
Fox News."
and you
But
guys, your senators are banning books.
right, right.
So
But
come on.
beyond that, free speech is about your ability to say it. It's not about your ability to say it without consequences.
Right, which is you'd think most people would get this, but they don't. And
Oh, I think they
it's
get it.
it's
They just
strange.
don't care.
Yeah, or they don't want that to be the reality.
Right. They
I
don't
don't know.
they're rich and white. I grew up around rich and white. I was born privileged, male and white. Um, I know what I speak of, and unfortunately, yeah, no, the idea that the world might be built for anybody else is sometimes scary to us. Um, I try not to let it be scary to me, but I don't like to completely separate myself because I'm always like coming upon situations where it's like, huh, never thought about the world that way. I'm glad I
Well,
read this or did this
that's
or
that's a
whatever.
lovely thing about being able to read and delve into other people's theses and thoughts and
Yeah.
feelings. That's a
Well, and
great thing.
that's pretty much where the re-up starts is you're on the couch with a privileged white boy explaining to you, look, you want to get the money or do you want some rich fuck to get the money?
Yeah, which is funny, and it sounds like, yeah, sure, I'll do it eventually. And that first issue, which I think people will discover upon reading subsequent issues, like you said, it's a bit more prolix in that issue
Right.
because I had to get you up to speed and as to
Right. Had to set
why.
the scene.
Yeah, and I mean literally that comic could have been two panels. Like,
Right.
are you gonna do it? And then I wait and I'm like, fuck it, I'll do it. But I'm like, nah, I need the context in there to let the people
Right.
know how I got there. And then in the subsequent issues, there's less of
Yeah.
the caption.
Right.
Uh, but because it is indeed a comic, but I thought that was a good mechanism to kind of get people up to speed and realize too that this is something I'm looking at in retrospect because I'm speaking
So
with
since we keep
my
talking
current
about it
self.
but haven't really introduced it, why don't you give the front counter pitch for the re-up?
Uh, when I'm usually at these tables at festivals selling the re-up, I say it's the story of my time in DC where I was working full time and attending part time Georgetown University, where I inadvertently fell into selling copious amounts of weed when it was illegal and exciting. So, yeah,
That's a good it's a good pitch. I like it.
yeah, I mean, it is what it is, and
Right.
of course, and if they ask, like I said, it's in the arts. You've got, I'm thinking a lot of people can tell from the logo, which is pretty much the Nokia startup
Yeah.
screen or the
Yep.
Nokia
Yep.
screen. So you can put a
I liked that you
time
were
on that.
playing Snake while you were waiting for your first
That's right.
big bag of weed to split up.
Most definitely. I was playing Snake, and it's like just
The
I
youngsters
liked it.
out there are like, what does that mean?
What is this? Well, technology is
There
a
were
really big part
phones
of
with
that.
cords.
Yeah, really. Yeah. I mean, well, technology is a big part of the re-up. Like, you really get to see technology. The phones are big, but also, CDs are in it.
Yep.
In the latest issue, we flash back to the '80s, so you get to even see an old school TV with the dials on it when you had to
Uh,
get up and manually change.
you
So
mean when you were the remote control?
exactly, yeah, yeah. Your
Hey
mom was
kid,
like, change the
change the
channel. You're
channel.
like, exactly. So like, it's just something that I'm 49, so it's something I like to show people just it's something they'll notice in their lives as well. And yeah, I mean, I saw technology progress, and it made me who I am because of these communication methods. And
Right.
it's interesting writing the re-up because back then, we had these kindler, gentler, simpler phones. Like, we were not on the phone all day in 2005. You know, it was a different reality.
You mean just because text messaging wasn't even a thing yet? I
It
mean,
was a
you could
thing,
do
but
it.
who the
You
hell
could
wanted to
do it,
do
but it
it?
was like you hit the button three
Yeah,
times to get the letter you wanted.
it sucked. Or you had the 2.9, the T9,
Right.
which
Right.
also sucked.
Right.
Predicative text. That
Right.
it was just
Right.
bad. I'm like, man, just
Right.
call me. So stuff like that was fun. So yeah, it's nice to have this I guess this environment that's recent but definitely not modern. You know,
Right.
Recent but not modern. So I thought that was
Right.
cool.
Right. Um, so unless you're gonna get into it later, the one big question that I have in terms of the re-up, um, that seems tangential enough that it might not be related or it
Okay.
might not be something you actually put in the book. Your mom talks about how you got into Georgetown through the back door, and I know that part of that is having gotten the job as the AV guy. But how did you get an AV job at Georgetown? What how did you go from Cleveland to DC and wind up as the AV guy at Georgetown?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm in Cleveland State in '97. So I'm walking
Okay.
around our campus and I discovered there was a national student exchange program. So I
Okay.
applied for that. And long story short, I got into Howard University in DC for a year. Now,
Okay.
um, once I had moved to DC for that year, I loved it. DC was just a fantastic place. I was really inspired because I'm seeing like a lot of Black people doing very well, and that to me was fantastic, especially when compared to Cleveland. So I was like, I'm staying here. So I stayed. I eventually got a job at George Mason, where I worked for a few years,
Okay.
and that's where I discovered that if you get a job at an American university, you your tuition's free. So I was like, oh,
Okay.
okay, this is good to know. So the plan was to ride out at Mason, but then I saw a job opening at Georgetown. So I went for it. And the only difference at Georgetown is like you had to work one full year before you were eligible for the tuition benefit. So I did
Right.
that. And then I started going to school. And yeah, I just, did all my coursework, graduated from Georgetown. It's crazy. So total backdoor thing. And
But
you would
what? Go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh no, it's all right. What I was going to say is like, a lot of times, being a black guy on a campus like that, the assumption is that it's affirmative action or something.
Right.
And I'm like,
Right.
no, I got in through the back door. And people
I
were
mean, even if
very,
it was
very
affirmative
offended.
action, it generally means you had better test scores than any of the legacy kids.
Right, true. And I mean, honestly, I mean, the legacy kids are the recipients of the affirmative action, let's
Right.
be honest. But no, I mean, they were mostly mad because I didn't pay tuition. And
Right.
I'm like, well, I work full time, I attend
Right.
part time,
Right.
and that's how I do it. So yeah, I
Right.
found, just a nice stratagem to go around the corner.
I guess my question just and hopefully it's still kind of like this because and you touch on it a little bit with the scene where like you literally just had to turn on the projector for the math teacher, the award-winning math teacher.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um,
sure.
what were the qualifications for an AV job?
I mean,
What were
it's
they looking
funny
for?
because
Did they actually know what they were looking for?
I mean, it's weird because I think they're just looking for someone, honestly, who was kind of young, who could operate contemporary technology, uh, which I had done. Actually, I've been doing AV in one form or another
Right,
since the 90s at Cleveland
right.
State. So, I would work in the computer lab, or
No, I'm
I
just
worked
sitting there
AV
going,
there.
man, I worked at Best Buy and did every job there. I should have spun that into a job at a school and had more time to
Yeah,
go to
you could have
college.
got into AV. And it's funny because just, yeah, these professors either they,
Occurred to me.
I mean, they're intelligent enough to operate this stuff, but they don't want to do it. So
And
they paid
well, I
us
mean,
to do it.
I teach now, so I will say that there is truth in like eventually being hardwired to the point that learning new things in an area that you don't do a lot in is legitimately difficult, which doesn't mean that
Mhm.
they should be as problematic as like forgetting to hit the power button. I mean, I think everybody really quick tech support for anybody. Have you turned it on and off? Is it plugged in?
Right.
Before you call for tech support,
Right. No,
is
you're
it
totally
plugged
right.
in?
Is it
Have
plugged
you
in? Is
turned
it
it on
on?
and off?
Or is it sleeping? Like, did you wiggle the
Right,
mouse?
right.
And I don't know. I mean, I've just always been technologically adept. Like, I used to make a lot of hip hop beats. So
Cool.
I'm pretty much, you can sit me down in front of any program, in front of any, sampler, drum machine, keyboard. I'm going to figure out how to do it. But I was also, I mean, I read manuals. So,
Right. What?
back in the day,
What?
I was
What kind
making
of
music
man
on.
are you, Chad? You read the
Hey,
manual.
yeah, but then people don't know how to
You
use the
ask for
MPC.
directions too, don't you?
Most definitely. I mean, well, actually, I just researched the directions
Me too.
myself because, like, I mean, yeah, if you got a Korg Triton, you got an MPC, you have a SID station. These things, if you read the manual, you actually know how to use it. So that's where I come from. So I'm also a photographer. I mean, I've done a lot of stuff. I pretty much design and color separate and lay out all my comics as well. So on that end, I'm also adept. So although I am the writer, I also do pretty much everything else but
Do you
the art.
letter?
I do letter
You do
actually.
the lettering? I was wondering
Well,
about that.
I do the lettering with a font in the re-up. I
Well, yeah.
have I hand lettered. There's a story in Chad in Amsterdam with Brad Pitt in it,
Yeah.
and that That I hand lettered.
Okay.
So that I actually that's like in the last chapter, and
Yeah.
I actually hand lettered that.
That's right after your Shalimar story.
That's correct. That's correct. So that's my actual hand lettering on an iPad,
Okay.
but still
Well, yeah,
hand
yeah.
letter. Yeah.
I mean, I honestly don't expect anybody to be hand lettering now. Um,
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, you could
eh,
make a font,
right. I mean,
which is cool too.
you know, we're the truly geeky comic show. I think I've had five different letterers on this show, including Clem Robbins, who started in the era of hand lettering. And it was actually while he was working on 100 Bullets that he's like, oh, where the business is going, if I don't figure out digital, um, I'm not going to be able to keep doing this. And I love doing this. So I'm going to have to. So he started, he created his own font. Um, are you frozen? Did I lose Chad?
It's nice to know the analog. Okay.
Okay. Now you're moving again. Now you froze again. We'll figure it out.
Hold on. Hold
I
on.
never know because
We'll
it's
figure it out.
recording. I never know because it's recording to the cloud. What's going to happen here? Does Zoom hear both of us? Will the listeners
I
hear
think
both of
so.
us,
Well, that just
even though
it
we can't
clutched
hear
out
each
real
other?
quick. Should be good now. I closed a few windows. We should be good now. And
Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, I am a fan of knowing the analog methodology
Oh
before you
yeah. No,
step
no.
into
I
something. You know, I DJ too, so my buddy
yeah.
Yusi, also known as J Bags, when he taught me how to DJ, he was like, "Go get two. I got two duplicates for you. We're gonna teach you how to blend on record
Okay.
on vinyl first." So I was like,
Vinyl.
"All right." So not that I usually play on vinyl, but it's nice to know. It's nice to
Oh,
feel that,
absolutely. I mean,
photography. I do film and digital, so
before we hit our technical difficulty glitch, what I was saying is that when Clem realized he was going to have to go digital,
mhm.
the first thing he decided he needed to do was like seriously design a font because what he appreciates the most about old school lettering is that the letters aren't identical. So
Yeah.
he didn't want to create a font with one A. He wanted to
Right.
create a font with seven A's
I think that's great though,
to be able to mimic the whole randomness.
for sure. And that's really what digital is. It's like
Right.
approximating the analog method.
Right.
So as best that you can. So I
Right.
thought too with this comic, I'm like, I wanted a for the re-up, I wanted a very tight design aesthetic. And I'm like, I want people to be able to read it. So I chose a particular font and used it in a way that I thought was, very stylish. And I'm like, I want a nice font for the dialogue. And I'm not
Right.
going to mess around and learn on the job. I'm going to go with a pro, and I got a Nate Piekos font,
Right.
and I'm fine with that. I do digital lettering, and I read
Right.
his book as well.
Right.
So I'm that type of
Which I
person.
haven't yet, but I've heard great things about.
It's really nice just as and
Yeah.
I know you're into the craft, so
Oh
I
yeah.
think you would really dig it. And yeah, like I said, I teach my I'm autodidactic as much as I can be. you know
Wee. Yay.
YouTube
You speak
University.
my language.
Yeah, so you just put it together, and I mean, I
But you
like.
actually finished your degree.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah,
I just racked up debt.
yeah. Yeah, that could happen. But yeah, I finished it, and
See,
I
if
mean,
I'd been smart, I would have gotten the AV job and not brought on the debt. And then when I didn't finish my degree, I also wouldn't have the debt.
Well, I hope there's somebody out here hearing this and like, oh, I can do that. Yeah, go
Yeah.
get a job at a university. And sure,
Well, and
it will take longer, but so what? It's free.
I'm also going to toss out there that like junior colleges have the best teachers because they're there to
I'm
teach.
not mad at that. I'm not mad at that. And actually, in a lot of
I didn't think
junior,
you were going to be mad about that.
a lot
But
of
that's my point. You know, save some money, spend 2 years at junior college where the teachers
yes,
are better
right,
anyway because they're
right.
there to teach.
Yeah, go get
Every
an
once in a while, you
associate.
get a good teacher at a 4 year college. I'm not saying that they don't exist, but they're not hired to teach. They're hired for the prestige of the school. They're hired to publish. They're hired to
Right.
make the school's numbers look good. At a junior college, they're hired to teach.
To teach. And one thing too, just to add to that, a lot of times the junior college is like the second best or third best hospital in your city. A
Often,
lot of
yeah,
people they might be a
yeah,
doctor at the best one, like here in Cleveland
right.
Clinic. A lot of people are at Cleveland Clinic in Cleveland, and that's our best hospital. But a lot of these folks also will work at University Hospital on off
Mm-hmm.
days and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So it often you're getting the same people for like a cheaper price.
Right.
So I mean, honestly, man, I mean, probably the most difficult university I went to was Howard because they were very serious about excellence. And I
Yeah.
mean Georgetown, I've had excellent teachers at all universities, and I have also gone to like community colleges and things like that.
Right.
So I'm not a snob about things. Like
I
I'm
didn't
not like
figure you
this guy.
were. I
Well, you
just,
know, like I live in Amsterdam, but it's not like I don't think other cities can be nice too because they're not world class. You know,
I,
like
I, I just, the other thing that I was able to relate to, I teach at one of the most prestigious public schools in the country.
okay,
So I
okay.
have heard similar conversations to the ones that you had to write in the letters page about Georgetown saying, no, I really did hear these. I didn't make these up.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah. The random quips of the
Right,
Georgetown student body.
right.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
so
Tho-
exhausted. Why are you so exhausted? Well, we went to the football game last night. Which football game? The Bears game. Aren't the Bears in Minnesota? Yeah, we took the jet up there.
yes,
We didn't
exactly.
get home until 3 a.m.
Yeah. And I mean, it's just interesting. I'm also trying to show, the re-up deals a lot with class as well
Yeah,
and infiltration from the bottom up.
right.
Really, a lot of people just think it's like some dumb thing about me selling weed, and that's really
Not at all.
not what it is. So
Uh,
that's what I'm trying to do, I should say.
um, my wife often asks me about what I'm reading or who I'm going to talk to on a given night, and I always try to put it through the lens of the comics that she already knows.
Okay.
She tends much more towards true crime and YA,
Okay.
which is why she knows Dirk Becker quite well. And
Ah, work. Yeah, yeah.
the 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 way I describe the re-up is it's like trashed, only about a weed dealer.
Yeah, which is a great. I mean, Burke. Shout out to Durf. That's a Cleveland boy.
Yeah,
Um, and yeah, like it's just it's really some working man's
right.
fiction, and
Well,
you see.
but I go a step further than that because what I love most about Trashed is
Mhm.
that not only is it the working man's story, you know, his was more fictionalized than yours, but it's also like nonfiction about the industry and the environment and whatnot. You have the not, and you do this with Chad in Amsterdam too. You give us the historical knowledge we need. You give us the sociology knowledge that we need. You you don't just tell stories. You provide the background. That's actually something that comics can do better than any other medium.
I
Um,
agree with
but
that.
not
Yeah.
enough people actually utilize them to do that. And that's something that I was really enjoying today was I was both getting these really entertaining stories, but I was learning Dutch history and the
Right.
fact that their Sinterklaas celebration is along the lines of our some of our American devotion to the lost cause narrative, where it's like
Yes.
there was a point where they went, "Oh yeah, that was incredibly racist, but we don't want it to be, so we're gonna come up with this new story, and that's just the way it is. And a few generations from now, they won't realize that we changed it,
Right. Right. Exactly. And that was I mean, you got the
unless they
thesis
go to
of
the
that whole
library,
thing.
unless they're an autodidact and go, hey, I'm gonna go learn
Right.
about this on my own."
Well, I mean, for me, it's just, and it's those things that being a guy who, I was a big X-Men guy as well, and I was similar to how you got into Daredevil, where you get one issue. I think my first X-Men issue was like 181, where Rachel Summers is on the cover. I believe it's 181, or that it might have been the one where Storm fights Cyclops for when she had no powers and became the leader. And I just thought that was so cool. And I went back and I got as many old issues as I could. Again, like for me, context is so much.
Yeah,
It's so important. And so, then I went back and, you know, got like not X-Men 94, but maybe 96 onward to 300 or so. And
right,
you need context is so important. And it's like, why would you not include this myth, this lore, this minutia in your story, which makes it a grand thing?
right.
Uh, so I do my best to do that. I guess is the most honest and fair way to say that.
Well, but I mean, a your best is awfully good, so
Thank you.
you don't be
That
too
means a
humble.
lot coming from you, Tad.
Right.
Appreciate it.
Your best is awfully good. Your best is good enough that it like stuck out that I needed to bring it up tonight. Um, but second, again, I mean, I've long insisted, and this is trashed, and now Chad and Amsterdam and Re-Up are going to be examples that I use of why comics are a medium for learning like no other. I dream of rewriting textbooks in comic book form. And that doesn't mean
Oh,
that you can't also put supporting documents and whatnot in them, but like
right.
have the bulk of the chapter be in comic form,
Yes.
and then have like footnotes like you have at the back of Chad in Amsterdam,
Mhm.
have original documents to go along with them, photos, whatever. But by doing it, I mean, there's just again, uh, visually or moving picture or straight prose, there's just no way to balance properly the human aspect of things to the like historical, more abstract aspect of things.
Yeah, and it I don't know. I mean, I guess with what I'm doing, autobio, and that I know this historical aspect of what I went through, and as you
Right.
said, I try to present the the evidence, the
Well, in your
documents.
case, your auto bio is you're an autodidact. So when you see this thing that doesn't seem right, you're like, okay, I need to go research it to either go, oh, I see how it is right, or yep, that's what I thought.
Right. I mean, stuff, and it can be fun. I mean, I just remember, I love
Rabbit holes
you
are
get an
great. It's
issue.
always fun.
It's fun, and then you get a comic and you go back. You maybe you got a letter column, or maybe you just have
Right.
like a diatribe or essay. But then, like in one of those, I threw in my academic transcript, which I thought,
Right.
oh, this is cool. Like, yeah, let's do
It
this.
looked familiar to me, only I have more F's and withdrawals. But but
I
but
had a lot of withdrawals and one
but
F.
but I mean, my transcript is essentially if it was an easy class, there's a good chance I got an F. And that was because I didn't withdraw because I was convinced that I'd get caught up some weekend and then never did.
Right,
If it was a hard class, I was fascinated and I got an A. And if it
right.
was an in between class, I would figure out that I was behind in time to withdraw.
It's it's because I did have a good amount of withdrawals at a
Yeah.
certain point because I was kind of entrenched in this weeds trade. But then I
You
found
mean it's
balance
hard to be a student, a full-time worker, and sell weed?
a little bit, slightly occupied. But then
I mean, it
one,
almost, I mean, I was under the impression that selling weed was like a hobby. You're implying that it was like an actual job.
yeah, well, it could be a hobby. Don't get me wrong. Like a lot of the people
I
who
mean, sure,
I
if you
was
want your
selling
arms
to, it was a
broken
hobby for them.
or you've got dad to make up the windfall when you don't want to get your arms broken because you didn't pay for your weed.
Right, exactly. And it's just
I mean, you don't so far, and I hope just because I don't wish this for you. So far, we haven't seen any of the more violent side of the drug trade. Um,
right.
which even in weed, when it was still Schedule One, was not unheard of. Like
No, because
if you hadn't managed to pay for that what was it, a pound that they fronted you?
yeah, at first
Something
one
like,
pound,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, whatever they fronted, if you hadn't paid in a timely manner, they would not have come after you in a nice way.
No, I mean, I was
Luckily,
lucky
you
that I
found
knew
some
that guy.
marks.
Yeah, I knew that guy, so not that there would have been like a physical threat, but he was a friend, so I would have lost a
Right,
friend over money, and I think for me that's just the most pitiful way to lose a friend. Pay
right,
people back. It's not that hard.
right.
So actually, and in the long term, more people owed me. I didn't leave the game owing anyone. People
Right.
owe, but people a lot of people owed me money. I wish
So
they'd give it to me right
you were
now.
the weed dealer that didn't go break kneecaps with they didn't pay.
No, because again, I'm risk adverse, and I'm like,
I
why
get that. I
go
get
into
that.
this? And I'm like, plus, you never would. I mean, the most I would ever front someone at the time would be a quarter pound of some kind bud, which was
Well, and at
probably
least in
around.
the parts that I've read so far, you were very averse to even fronting that quarter pound
No, I didn't want to
because
because I mean, you're talking
there was that kid that
around $1,000.
kept wanting the QP, and you kept going, nope, nope. When you can pay for it.
Yeah. And he was a pretty formidable, scary dude actually. But
Well, I
I'm like,
did see
nah,
the
man.
football helmet.
Yeah, yeah. He's a tough dude. He comes back into the story really soon. But again, it's just I mean, why would you I don't know, why would you do something for 300 bucks? Just mark that off and don't deal with that person ever again. It's the
I
best way to
agree
handle it.
with you. I agree with you. I am, and this is where I will admit absolutely no firsthand knowledge. I've
Hmm.
never been a user, I've never been a buyer, and I've never been a seller.
Okay.
But I've been around enough lawyers that I'm pretty certain that you have a minority opinion among at least most of the people who wind up supplying other dealers, which you got to.
Yeah,
You got
I'm
to the point
sure.
where you're supplying other dealers.
But then I would say amongst the other dealers, it's probably a minority opinion because it's like, why would you play out the connect? Why would you play out the plug? If you got someone who's prompt, who you get what you pay for, why would you sever that tie? So treat that
Right.
tie as good as you would. So
Right.
there's nothing when you're in that business. There's nothing better than a solid, dependable connect. And I
Yeah.
was that. I won't lie, and actually it's something that's bled over into my comic book making because I feel that I'm highly professional in this comic world,
Well, I
So
mean,
I'm
you're
I'm cool
sitting
with
in
that.
a conference room at a library for better internet. So, I mean, I agree.
It's just, try to do your best. That was kind of
Yeah.
how I was raised, even if you're selling weed. But I mean, who's selling weed? Well, people are still selling weed.
Yeah,
That
they're
much
still
for
selling
sure.
weed,
Yeah.
mostly in a semi-legal fashion, though banking the money I hear is a challenge.
I could,
Um,
yeah. Yeah. You have a bunch of cash and you're like, what do I do with
right,
this?
right.
you know. So, I mean, it was fun. It taught me a lot about life. It was also a headache, a lot of hassles, a lot of
Right.
it goes. I briefly sold coke for a minute, and that's part of the story as
Yeah, I
well.
feel like that's coming up. That's like
It's coming.
that's teased in issue 5, and then issue
Right, right.
6 takes a turn. Um,
Yes, yes.
I did without getting too spoilery, I do want to talk to you a little bit about issue 6 because it does take a turn. You go from showing the life and mostly the life in a pleasant, fun way to
Hmm.
suddenly this thing that you've teased all through the first 5 issues. Um, you see like actual real consequences to the way
Yes,
you were living. Not
yes, yes.
necessarily like jail consequences or whatnot, but just like uh, time management consequences, but in kind of a
Hmm.
painful way. Um, I don't want to ask what that taught you because I feel like that's probably the next half of the series, but I do want to ask
Hmm.
you, how was writing that issue different from writing the other 5? And did you know
Right.
from issue 1 that that issue was coming?
Okay. Firstly, from issue one, yeah, I did know that issue was coming because it was something that, you know, uh, for the most part, the story is pretty accurate. Certain
Right,
things are, of course, embellished. And then I always give a caveat to anyone who's reading any autobio is that it's not nonfiction.
right,
They're all fictionalized accounts because it's what you remember. And there's
right.
no way that your memory of something is
Rashomon
flawed.
effect. Right,
Exactly. It's
right,
it's it's gonna be biased. So I'm here. I'd like to say based on a true story, but I knew that was coming, and I thought it was a perfect way to show how our allegiances and our concerns can change when you become basically addicted to money. you
okay,
know, and things become secondary. Things that you don't want to be secondary. Um, that issue was a lot of fun to write, but also I felt a lot of pressure because without getting too spoilery, it
right,
does. My mother and my grandmother and various other members of my family are in it, and I spoke with my mother, just to make sure, not so much for the accuracy, but to get her recollection of these events. And so, I talked to her, I took my notes, and, it helped a lot with the dialogue and the time. And then you kind of you get a bit of re-up from how it looked to her, how
right.
she was perceiving it. And my mother, was in Cleveland at the time. And I don't want to spoil it because I mean we're really happy with that issue
Yeah,
actually.
it was fantastic.
Thank you so much. And so I think it's something that
I
people like.
almost cried in front of my students reading it,
Oh wow,
but
no, like I have had a few people like, yeah, that made me cry. And I'm like, oh well, that's really what's up if that's what it did because I really
I mean,
wanted it to
I
end.
don't know which is worse when I'm reading the comic that almost makes me laugh out loud in front of the class, or the one that almost because a lot of my time at school, I I uh I get to read until people need help, so I have to like kind of be out of the way until I jump in and then out of the
Hmm.
way again because we're trying to foster as much independence as possible. Um,
Right.
so it's
Right.
like I'm in the room and I get to read because that's a good way for me not to like be up in their business, which doesn't really help them with the whole independence thing.
Hmm.
Um, it's not really independent if I'm going, no, 2 plus 3 is 5. I need them to
Sure.
come to me and ask if 2 plus 3 is 5.
Hmm. I mean,
Um,
it was a deep issue. Like, and then I
yeah,
got to look at myself as a kid and go back and get the fashions, and like that's it's really drawn in the neighborhood where I grew up in.
okay.
So I had to like seek out old pictures
Pictures.
of a certain drugstore or what was going
Right.
on there. And, luckily the internet, a lot of stuff is on it. So I
Yes.
was able to
Yes, there
find
is.
those and provide those to Juliet so she could really render them well. And, it's someone, actually, it was Ryan Carey. He had said this is definitely the best thing he has written, and I was like, okay, cool. Cause I actually feel that way too. But it's
Yeah.
something that you have to read the other five to really feel the
Yeah.
impact, you
No,
know.
well, I mean, particularly because it's teased in all of them. And
It
we
is
get
teased, yes.
we get the references throughout. I mean, it's like because issue 6, again, without spoiling it, everything, like the first half of it actually takes place during the first 5 issues. We're just seeing another side of what was going on.
That's right.
Um,
That's right.
and that, I mean, it changes the way that you look at the first 5 issues as well. Um,
Right, right. Which
you
that's
know,
thanks for saying that. That's a great point. And that was kind of the plan where because someone did say like they had read up to five and they're like, yeah, okay, it's cool, but nothing's gone wrong. And I'm like, I
right,
know
right,
it's coming. And
right.
yeah, so and that's kind of how it happened. And it
I mean, there
just
was that Wigger dude.
but like that guy, he's a joke, That's why
I know.
everybody was just like,
I
fuck
know.
this guy, man. You say whatever you want. We're not worried about you. We're trying to get our package and go make
Well, and
money.
there was that late lady. Had
She's
to wait
great.
around
Like I
for
said,
3 hours.
she was, and that's probably exaggerated. And like I said, I saw her
And then it was
yesterday.
only
She
2 hours.
yeah, but you're like, I was like, you used to be late as hell. She's like, was I that late? I'm like, yes, dude. And her lateness actually comes back into play pretty soon.
Right.
And it's yeah, I
I got
mean,
to imagine though when you're holding an illegal substance and just loitering, time moves slower.
it does. I would suggest that you never keep that illegal substance on your person. Put it somewhere and wait, somewhere
Yeah.
over there. That's a little there's a stratagem for kids, I mean, looking good to the business. Yeah.
Before the
Yeah.
librarian comes knocking on the door,
Yeah, we still got about a half hour. We're
that's what
good.
I figured. But
Okay.
I also know how we've been going various places, and I've got a handful of questions that I still want to ask. So,
Oh yeah, get them in. Get them in, man. Get
right,
them in.
right. So I want to talk some about Chad in Amsterdam, but before we talk specifically about Chad in Amsterdam. I'm curious as to how you wound up in Amsterdam. You didn't really quite tell that. I mean, I know that you
Um
went visiting. I know that eventually you
mhm,
married a native, but
mhm.
how did you wind up going from visiting to I'm just staying?
Yeah, that was that it was very similar to how I got to DC. One of these things where I used school as the vessel. I went and I did a master's program at the University of Amsterdam, which I did not complete, but it got me over there.
Hey, I'm all
Yeah,
about
yeah,
not completing collegiate
exactly.
programs.
I love unfinished
I'm a
chores,
pro
and
of that.
so I go over there and
For the kids out there, please try to complete your
try
collegiate
to.
programs,
It's
particularly if
worth
any of
it.
my students happen to come across this. I'm not actually encouraging you not to finish. I'm just owning my own shortcomings rather than crawling into a hole and crying.
Indeed. So like I don't know, I just went and I figured I'm savvy enough that if I got over there, I would figure a way to stay. And through a lot of methods, be it more school or work, and finally just being sponsored by my then girlfriend, now wife, I figured out how to do it. So, and it worked. And the one thing I guess I can say with me going to Amsterdam, which I like a lot, is that I actually contribute to the city. I think the Amsterdammers like me and they like what I'm doing and they really dig Chad in Amsterdam. You know what I'm saying? I
Right.
actually won a prize for that earlier in the year,
Wow.
the
Nice.
Tim Killiam Prize for a unique contribution to the image of Amsterdam. So that was hot, and I got a nice exhibit at the Museum of the Canals and a little prize money, most of which is gone now after this tour. But
You
it
mean
was
you didn't
cool.
recoup your expenses at the
I
tables?
Actually, I did quite well at that, but I have a different I don't think about it like that. And
I know.
I try to tell people not to because they're like, "Oh, did you get your table fee back?"
Oh yeah, no,
And
no,
I'm
I know.
like, "Nah, don't think like that. Just you paid a table fee to be here. Now you're here. I mean, that should be a
Right,
business expense anyway, so forget about it.
right,
Now you're there. Now focus on not even on selling, but finding your public." And I
right.
believe, us comic people, we're salesmen as well. So I don't believe
Unfortunately, you have to be.
you have to be, but then sales don't happen instantaneously. I think there's like
No.
four stages almost where someone becomes aware, then they become interested, then they actually engage, and then they actually commit to the sale. So that can happen in one meeting, but I've had folks who have seen me over the course of multiple festivals,
Well,
and then
I
they
bought
buy.
what? I bought a individual issue of Chad in Amsterdam,
Right.
and I think you gave me the newspaper
Yes,
that you
Megala. That's right.
curated.
That's right.
Um, that's what I did last year, and this year I bought the hardcover and all six issues. So I mean, it
Right.
worked.
It works, and that's so. Like, I mean, you just got to temper your expectations. It's not going to happen overnight, and even I'm guilty of that. I don't know. I
Well,
feel I
and
could have a little
particularly
more
at
press.
places like CXC and really
Mhm.
almost any comic convention, but like if you're on any sort of budget at all, you're not going to be able to buy everything you want to buy. You're not going to be able to give
No,
money to
no,
everybody that you want to give money to. So you
no,
have to
no.
kind of pick and choose.
You do, and I get it. That
I
it
mean, there
just
are times
depends.
where I just want to bring a $5 bill for each table and just walk around and I might come buy something later, but I want to make certain you know I appreciate you're here. But I can't afford that either.
You can't afford it. So I mean, it's just something. I mean, again, like as far as press goes, sure, I'd love more press, but it comes. And I mean, I'm actually in another country, so I
Yeah.
come over. I
Well,
hustle
and
over
you
there, and
sell
then
in
I
at
come over
least two
here. They don't
countries
know
because
me.
you sell here and you sell there. So, I mean,
Yeah, definitely.
that's better than a lot of American creators can say.
Well, I try to get it out to the public.
Right.
I think I got some good work with some great artists, and kind of an interesting story. So once I think they actually take the time to check me out, they'll like what I'm doing. I'm pretty.
Right.
I stand by my work. I think it's up
You
there.
got me hook, line, and sinker. I'm going to
Word up.
expect you to like send me emails to remind me when things come out because it's
I
not
shall.
easy enough for me to see it. But
Right.
if I know, I'll be tracking it down at this point.
Cool.
Um,
Cool.
it seems to be in Amsterdam that you decided to make comics in general, and you wrote in the foreword that it was, and I'm one of the handful of people that will like can't afford comics or you can't find comics and you stole comics off the internet. Good for you. That's how we keep comic fans.
Hey,
I
yeah, I
I
was.
don't
Yeah,
actually really believe in art piracy. I think
mhm.
it's more art advertising,
I
whether it's
would
music or
agree.
movies, or I don't think sales get lost that way. I think sales get made that way, but I
Yeah,
don't think
I
they
would
get
agree
lost
with
that way.
that. I would agree. I mean, like,
Oh,
on my website, I give out the first issue of Chad in Amsterdam for free.
right,
I'll probably do that in a little while with the first issue of the re-up, but
right.
first chapter. But
You
yeah,
see,
I mean,
this is your whole drug dealer philosophy coming back. You give a taste.
indeed, you like that? It's good shit, right?
Here's a
Here's my number.
taste.
And that, that's how it goes. So yeah, I agree
Are you
with you.
hanging
Like,
out on playgrounds, handing out the first issue of Chad in Amsterdam?
that would be, hey, psst, that would be great. But
Do you have it in like a
yeah,
trench coat? You open up the
I
trench
do.
coat and say, "You want to read a
Hey
comic, little
kids,
boy?"
what's this? You're like, yeah, you'll never, yeah. But it's that sort of thing. And sure, I
Yeah,
mean, if someone, I agree with you though. Like, there's a lot of things I, I will kind of pirate if I'm interested. And then, but I'm the
right.
type of guy that if I'm interested, I'm gonna buy it.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, if I pirate it, it is generally I want to read it sooner than I can put my hands on it. And if I desperately want to read, I mean, at this point, if I want to read it sooner than I can put my hands on it, it's because I want to be able to plug it in a timely manner on my dinky little podcast. So, like, I'm reading it for promotional purposes, or I don't know enough whether or not it's my thing that I'm willing to go in sight unseen. But oh, here's a download. When I've got time, I'll look at it. And if I look at it, I'm going to want a physical copy
Right,
or I'm
right,
going to buy it digitally or
right.
whatever. I mean, I can honestly say that I have never, and I've done my fair share of music, movie, and comic piracy through the years. But I can honestly say that A, there's never been a time where I downloaded something instead of buying it, where like I
Mhm,
had the money and I would have bought it then if, and there is a crap ton of things, whether it's music, movies, comics, hardcover books of comics, concert
mhm.
tickets, whatever that I have paid for that I never would have paid for if I hadn't been introduced to them when I couldn't afford them or when I didn't know enough about them to spend money on them. But then when I looked at it, it's like, oh shit, this is good.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, I don't know. There's a power to piracy, and
yeah.
I think people, as makers and sellers of comics, you should know. Like, if you've got to give out one free to get someone who might purchase something, why would you not do that? It's
Well, I'll go a step further. Most of us didn't sell weed while we were at college, which means
mhm,
that you have, for most people's lives, they have two sets of times where they can buy stuff. When they're kids, when they're not really buying it, their parents are.
right.
And after they've established themselves as like an adult that like has disposable income. And there's often anywhere between 5 and 20 years between those things. So
Right,
if you
right.
love music and you love comics and whatnot when you're a kid, but you have no access to the new music, the new comics, whatever, for the next 5 to 20 years, one of two things is likely to happen. Either when you have the money for stuff, you're just buying that old stuff that you knew in nicer condition or whatnot. Now you're going after your old key issues, but you're not looking at any new comics, etc.
Hmm.
Or you got into golf or you got into some other thing, and therefore that disposable money never actually goes to the comics at all
Right.
because
True.
you were allowed to get away from them.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so I always I actually and I lose arguments with as many creators as I win them, but I will argue treat piracy the way you treat libraries.
Yeah, I hear that. I mean, I'm really I saw Chad in Amsterdam on some pirate site, and I was like, cool, like
Right.
because I'm like, this will
You
expose me
noticed me enough that you scanned it and or managed to get a
exactly.
digital copy from somebody.
I'm flattered, and maybe even a
Right.
lot of these sites, you might have one person purchase it and they put it out. I
Right.
mean, so I mean, awareness. Who knows? Somebody might
Right.
drop your name. Maybe they did steal something, but they might tell someone, "Hey, I read this cool comic." That's as you said. It's like the library. It's like to a degree, it's advertising, and like, yo, man, you got to give a little
I
to
mean,
make.
Game of Thrones was supposedly the most pirated thing ever. It was also among the most watched things ever. So, I
Right.
mean, how many more people were gonna watch it if they weren't pirating it?
Exactly. I mean,
Were they
piracy is just part of it, you know.
right?
Department stores always account for a certain percentage of theft or a certain uh, amount
Well,
of
and
theft.
you know, as somebody who gets deep into the weeds of capitalism and class type stuff, piracy is actually way more a thing for the people at the top to blame for why they can't pay you than it is a thing that like prevents the money coming from the person that did the work.
Yeah, I hear that. I mean, so again, I'm not mad if you stole my
Yeah.
comics, it's all good. I mean, I
I didn't
don't
steal
really
your comics.
sell
I
digital.
You were there. I paid for them, man.
I don't, but I like my comics aren't really. I guess Chad and Amsterdam are available digital, but I think that the hardcover is such a nice
Yeah.
form to have
Right.
it in. Or the single issues are cool too, but
Well,
yeah,
and
just
again, I wound up going off of my diatribe. I brought this up because you wrote about it being how you got into. The question was how did you decide to make Chat in Amsterdam? How did you go
yeah.
from the university student and the traveler to I'm going to take all of this knowledge and stuff that I've done and what I want to do with it is make comics.
Like
I mean, I
really,
know you do other things too, but
but yeah, no, and I had been doing a lot and just kind of, one of those times you're kind of not doing well in life, no job, unemployed. You're a little concerned about the future. So you got a lot of time, not a lot of money, but a
right,
lot of time. So that's why I was
right,
like downloading stuff and I'm reading
right,
books, watching films, reading comics. And so I came across at that time Harvey Picar, American Splendor, who
right.
Harvey, another Cleveland guy, and he was a dude who
Yep.
I always knew about, but I never actually read his work just because when it was around when I was a kid, I was like, I'm not really trying to read
I
about
don't
this
want to
guy's
read about an
life.
old guy.
No, that's the thing. He doesn't have superpowers. I wasn't interested.
He's a
So
cranky old man.
he was a cranky guy,
He's
but he
not
seemed
even the
cool.
funny, cranky old man that Dana Carvey plays on Saturday night.
No, he's not that guy. So I don't know. I just from reading his work, I saw the power of autobiocomics, but also seeing your milieu in art. And that was cool. And I thought, particularly in Amsterdam, I saw a dearth of art or, that really was accepted by the three main demographics of the city being tourists, expats, and then I would say Dutch people, which can be further broken down into like native Amsterdammers. So I
Right.
thought, you know what? Maybe I'm in a position to create something that's interesting for all three of these groups because what I'm writing in Chad and Amsterdam isn't such a cursory thing. Like a lot of that stuff is very those are things that you would have to like be born there or have lived there for a while to know. And I learned those things just because I know some actual Dutch people who, have lived there or were born and raised there. So
Right.
it's cool to get that love from them. So yeah, I was real proud of what we were able to do. Hopefully, we'll do some more. We'll see. I
Okay.
could do one more volume of like a six more chapters of Chad in Amsterdam.
I would
Sure.
hope. And then
Yeah,
6 years from now, you should have six more chapters still, because I hope you're still like living and experiencing things.
indeed, indeed. And
Um, so my last final favorite question to ask, because I see you
okay.
glancing towards the door in case the librarian's coming.
Yeah, I
Uh,
thought someone was coming to me, but they're not.
um, tell me something you love, preferably a comic, but any art medium works.
Okay.
Um, that not enough other people have experienced, and you want them to, so you have people to talk about it with.
Hmm.
I mean, my nude one is Chad in Amsterdam.
Okay, cool. That's thank you. For me, I'm really, really there's two comics at the moment that I've read, of course, multiple times, but I've been referring to them for inspiration. Um, and not that I'm trying to make the re-up exactly like these comics, but I'd like the
Right,
feel. And the
right.
first one would be Lone Wolf and Cub,
Ah,
which
it's
is
so
just
good.
it's masterclass to me, and
Masterful.
it's
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
and it's just and what I really liked about that, and I do it to a far lesser extent in the re-up, but there's certain panels where just the art breathes and the art
Yeah,
speaks as opposed
yeah,
to the words. And I think
yeah.
that's part of being a comic writer as well. And sometimes, I've read a lot of, like I said, I like to know the rules so I can break
Right,
them. And an
right.
excellent book that I think all comic people should read is Filth and Grammar by Shelley Bond.
Oh God, yes.
So I
Shelley's been on the show, shilling it
oh okay,
for both. Shelley's a friend.
okay. And I tell you, I love that book, and it
Yeah.
was just interesting to read because she's
You
giving me
got her
what
spot this year
did I?
at CXC. Yeah, your table was where Shelley and Philip were last year.
Ah, okay, all right. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah,
Well, I
yeah,
love
yeah.
that book, and like I said, that's one that I'm
The
like,
follow-up's really
you want to
good
make
too.
them? Okay, I'll check it out because I'm like, you want to make
Yeah,
comics?
she's
You need
got
to
two
read
now.
this.
Yeah,
And the interesting thing, like Annette, she said, like, most scenes should be a max of 4 pages. And I'm like, yeah, I could see that being a thing in Marvel DC, but I don't
right,
necessarily have to do it because I'm kind of more making art house comics.
right.
So sometimes I kind of let the story dictate the scene.
Yeah.
Like a lot of
Well,
people would have said, well,
uh,
like that hotel scene, folks would have said
right.
it's too long. And I'm like, well, I don't
No,
think it is. Like,
no.
you know,
You were waiting. I
yeah,
mean,
I was waiting exactly.
comics are the medium with the most collaboration with the reader. And the reader gets the most control over pacing. They're the only
Yes,
medium that the reader has the most control over pacing. So
right.
if you want to slow down a moment, you have to find ways, whether it's more pages or more panels or whatnot, to draw out the moment. Uh,
Indeed.
Tyler and I just yesterday were talking about we were looking at the Global Comics has been doing a lot of adapting um, standard form comics into vertical scroll comics. So we were
Hmm.
comparing the first issue of Money Shot from Vault to the vertical scroll version. And one
Hmm.
of the things that fascinated me was how they would use the amount of scrolling you had to do between panels was not uniform. It would change kind of to help build either build tension or move things faster if it was that even in this other medium, they were very aware when they were arranging it of trying to create a specific pace.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, I mean, 4 pages is a good byline, or if it's more than 4 pages, you got to sit back and think, okay, why is it more than four
Why
pages?
exactly? And
You
that's what's so
know,
important.
I
Know the rules so you know how to break
right.
the rules. You
I
know.
mean, the name of our podcast is 22 Panels because I love Wally Wood's 22 Panels that always work.
Right.
Um,
Right.
and but the reason I love them is because they simplify the medium, but they don't hamstring the medium. They're
Hmm.
not the only 24 panels that work. They're 24 panels that always work with
Right.
some cheeky subtitle about, when the writer gives you too much dialogue and you got to find a way to do something with it.
Yeah.
Um, but
I hear that.
some artists like will like give us a hard time about the name. And they'll be like, "You mean 22 panels that suck?" And I'm like, "No, they're not supposed to be 22 panels that are awesome. It's a
Right.
hack. It's
Hmm.
look, we're working for money. We're working on a clock. Look at the script. If you can come up with something amazing, do that. If you can't, pick one of these."
Right. And that's what I get personally looking at Lone Wolf and
Uh,
Cub.
right.
And I guess the other bit of it's a comic, but one comic that just kind of blew my mind. It's quite interesting. I'm actually not a huge fan of books being translated into comics. I think
Okay.
it's kind of a kitschy thing that everyone wants to do now. It's a money grab. But with that said, Darwin Cook's adaptation of Richard Stark's Parker,
Amazing.
they're fantastic. To me,
And
again,
I was actually
masterclass
going to
comics.
give you a hat tip to having a quote not from a Parker book, but from a
Uh-huh.
Grofield book.
Okay. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I had one from Damsel. Yeah, yeah, you know what's
Right.
up. And that's right. I had that in there. And again, like I'm a big epigraph fan. I think it
Yeah.
really sets the mood
Yeah.
for your chapter or whatever. But
But I
Parker
am going to push
Parker's fantastic.
I'm going to push back on you. And we don't
Hmm.
have enough time to have a good conversation about this, but it's something for maybe the next time. Um, I'm going to give you two reasons that I am very much in favor of adaptations of novels. Um, doesn't mean all adaptations are equal. Some of them aren't very good. Um, but the first is we had a round table talking about Shakespeare and comics a couple of years ago, and
Okay.
John Lees brought up that nobody realizes that Hamlet's a teenager because every version they've ever seen, it's a 30 to 50-year-old playing him. But Hamlet's
Right.
a
Right.
teenager. And one of the reasons there's always somebody older playing him is you just can't find many teenagers that can handle the part. But in a
Right.
comic, you can still draw him young. And Hamlet as a teenager makes sense. Hamlet as an adult, it's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why are you a
Yeah.
whiny bitch?
Right.
Um, so sometimes it's like with like older stuff, it's an ability to show it in a way that a modern reader might not be able to really grasp it. Um, but then well, I'll actually give you three. The other things are like I can't make a picture in my head to save my life. Can't do it.
Okay.
I close my eyes and try to picture something. I see the inside of my eyelids. That's it. I think in words. I hear the words in my head. I don't see the words in my head. Um, so sometimes I just can't put it together. I've always loved Slaughterhouse Five, but
Hmm.
I didn't realize why it was so funny until I read the Ryan North Albert Montez adaptation and was able to
Okay.
see it put next to each other. I'm like, ah, that's what people are laughing about.
Got you. Okay, that's very fair, and I understand.
Um,
We got
and
folks that are
and
more
then as a
auditory.
teacher, there's also the sometimes it can just bridge the gap in learning. Sometimes that kid that you can't get to focus on the prose, you can get into the comic and use that to bring them to the prose. Create a discussion about the differences between the two. What decisions did the comic artist make that you wouldn't have made or whatnot?
Hmm.
So yeah, that's my argument for why I'm a big fan of adapting.
Well, and that those are good arguments. And again, we all folks are learning differently. Some are
Right.
auditory, some are more visual. I'm definitely visual. Some people more mimetic or physical, and those are great arguments. For me, I see a lot of I see this stuff. So, as a very visual thinker, for me, it isn't necessary. Like, don't get me
Right.
wrong. I read the what was the guy's name? Fido Nesti, who did the 1984 adaptation. 1984
Maybe.
is
I
one of
haven't read that yet. I have it on my iPad actually right now.
it's good.
I just read the Brave New World adaptation last night and really liked it.
Okay, and I thought it. I'm like, it's good, but for me, if I got to choose, I'm reading the book.
Right.
And then but I will always read the book first. And I do this with films too when I can.
Right.
Sometimes you definitely see a film first, but then I'll go back and read the book. Like One
Right.
Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and
Right.
I saw the film first, and then I read the book, and I'm like, the book's better. But
Right.
again, that's just being me, and it's interesting. I just sometimes if you read something translated, it really locks you into the visuals that an artist
Right.
has
Well, and
provided.
that is the great counter argument that I've heard, which is yes,
Mhm.
but I had the picture in my head and now it's not that picture.
Right. And again, this is no overarching objective thing. It's just
Right.
for
No,
me.
I understand.
But I
I just
would
love the
say,
talking point. I love discussion.
I hear you. And again, there's nothing wrong. It's just what works for you and why does it
Right.
work for you. But that Parker, for me,
Oh my
and
God.
I read Parker first, and as soon as I got done reading the first one, I read the book by Richard
Right.
Stark. And I was like, wow, this is one of these rare instances where the adaptation, the translation is just as good as the original work.
I
Sort of
actually
like
have,
well, you saw Old Country from Old, No Country for
yeah,
Old Men. I
yeah,
think
yeah,
that film is as good as the book,
yeah.
which I think is
I
rare.
mean, speaking of Cormac McCarthy, have you seen the comic adaptation of The Road is really good.
It looks beautiful. I'm going to read the book first. I actually finished Blood Meridian recently, which is
Okay.
utterly amazing. Like, oh my God, I know they
I
want to
haven't
make
read
a
that one yet.
film. Oh my God, that book is, whew, it's
No, I've
powerful.
heard. I've
Yeah, it's
heard.
something
That's one
I
of the
know
reasons I
I'll
haven't
read
gotten
in
to it
3 more
yet.
years. Yeah, like I'll read it again in a few years.
Right.
But yes, that who is it? Manu, I forget the guy's
I
name.
forget. Yeah.
It looks beautiful. I won't lie.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna hurry up and read the road so I can look at
Well,
that because I'd
and
like to see his vision.
there have been three different, very good, but in different ways, adaptations of Moby Dick by three absolute masters. Because Eisner did it way back when.
Hmm.
Sienkiewicz did it when First Comics had the um, Classics Illustrated license, and then Christophe Chebu did it.
Oh wow, okay. Well,
Yeah.
I saw a nice rendition of Alice in Wonderland in one of those classics illustrated by Kyle
Yeah.
Baker, who's one of my
Oh
personal
yeah. I
favorite
love Kyle Baker. I
cartoonists
know
ever.
I know that Alice in Wonderland because it's
Yeah.
Kyle Baker.
And I was like, oh, this is good. So it really
Yeah.
depends, but I tend to veer towards I'm going to delve into the book just because I am a reader of prose as well.
Right.
But that Parker just showed me, wow, you can really do this well. And
We
yeah,
we
it's great.
we did a roundtable for Parker Across Mediums.
Ooh, I'm
Um,
gonna watch that. That's what's up. Or is it in the
listen to
book?
that.
I
What?
will listen to that. I'd love
Listen
to
to
hear
that.
what y'all have to say about that.
Well, and I read the book. I read obviously the Darwin Cook. I actually annotated my book reading the Darwin next to it to go, okay, this page was this page, etc.
Oh, nice,
Um,
nice. Okay, okay.
and then I watched Point Blank, the Lee Marvin movie, where they wound up
Yes.
changing the name, but is still based off of that first Parker movie or Parker
Right, right.
book. And it's fascinating the things that were the same, the things that changed,
It's gorgeous.
and
So
how
those are
much
the
the
two
essence of the character. And that's the biggest thing. If you keep the essence of the character,
of the character. And
uh,
that's what's so important about these things. I think that we miss a lot. It's character. Like
yeah,
people, I think Scorsese's got some quote about it. Like you're not revisiting stuff because of the plot. You're revisiting because of the
as a
character.
character. Yeah.
So it's a good thing. I think it's a good, good tip for people to remember. And
Yeah.
yeah, so those are my two that when I'm really just
They're
like,
fantastic.
I want a little inspiration. I just flip
Yeah.
through or maybe read a bit.
Right.
They're quick reads, both of them, and you're just like,
Yeah.
okay, boom, let me move on. And those are often the people that you know, I mean, I'm not really in competition with anyone. It's just,
Right.
that's the inspiration I need
Yeah.
to to make the comics I want to make, would
Well,
like to make. You know.
that is fantastic and a great place for us to wrap up because you need to. So I'm going to take us out and then say goodbye properly once we're not recording.
Okay.
So for Chad Bilyeu, this has been 22 Panels, and we will see you after the next page.
Peace.
Hey guys, this is Tyler from 22 Panels. I'm here to tell you all about our Patreon. If you enjoy this show, please consider donating to our Patreon to keep this show going. We have many different tiers, all different levels to help you decide what's right for you. Okay, so get on out there to patreon.com/22 Panels Podcast.